Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. Oti le'omed beino v'ni. Oti le'omed beino v'ni. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. Ki eshmera Shabbat el yishmereni. Oti le'omed beino v'ni. Oti le'omed beino v'ni.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're so glad you're here with us, to our Bar Mitzvah family, to the Plotkin family that's here with us in person, and to all of you joining us over the live stream over Facebook Live. We're so glad that you're here to take a pause, take a break, take in this time of Shabbat, this gift that comes to us each and every week. And we are going to welcome in Shabbat by lighting our Shabbat candles. So I'd like to invite the Plotkin family to give us the honor. It's right there. There's the sheet. You don't need them.
As we light these Shabbat candles, we link ourselves with the generations of our people who have kindled these holy flames. Time passes quickly, and we take this moment to pause and express our gratitude. We stand here as a Bar Mitzvah family with humility and with love for this occasion, for one another, and for being a part of this sacred community. As we participate in this age-old ritual, we embrace this moment as we move forward in the cycle of our lives. Yesterday we held our son in our arms, and tomorrow he will be called to the Torah as a Bar Mitzvah. These Shabbat candles not only remind us of the joy of this occasion, but help us to see the light within one another and the strength that each of us possesses. Grateful for all the precious gifts in our lives, we kindle the Sabbath lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehalik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
We'll continue welcoming in Shabbat with L'chado D, found on page 6.
Shabbat מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה
Continue with Barahu with our call to prayer on page 8. We invite everyone to please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei hoshach, v'hoshach mipnei or.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים.
Continue on page 9. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory, may earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. rise for the blessings of the Amidah on page 15.
Adonai safatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotinu v'imateinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chazdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להשיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני לחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללו הסלע. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We now come to the time in our service where we pray for those who are in need of healing, healing of the body, healing of the spirit. Tonight in our community, we're praying for Stanley Amsterdam, Cindy Baker, Alan Tilley, Robbie Palermo, Gerard Roos, Arlene Scheininger, Sharon Tillis, Laura Vogel, and Zohara Aviva Bat Harav Moshe V'Harav Rachel. I invite you to either share aloud or to hold in your hearts all of those that you're thinking of who are in need of healing this evening as we say the words of Misha Barach.
Source of strength.
turn from the healing of the body to the healing of our world, as we pray that one day there won't just be peace in our families and our community, but one day peace in our entire world. Shalom Rav on page 18.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
We reach for you, our God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world. Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat. Find the stillness of the sanctuary which the soul cherished. Renew the covenant of an ancient people. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith. Quiet places in stillness where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places in stillness from which we will reach out to each other. We will find strength in silence, and with this strength, we will turn again to your service. We'll take a few moments to pray silently.
Our prayer for peace over this world. Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom
Imagine the scenario: family Thanksgiving dinner. We all know the situation, though some of us know it better than others. You end up in a conversation with a cousin from the other side of the aisle as you. Maybe it's a political disagreement, or a sports disagreement, or a long-standing family conflict. A conversation, if you can even really call it that, begins. You know what they are thinking or what they're going to say, and you are already formulating the counter-argument in your head. You are ready to fire back to defend your perspective at any moment. When we find ourselves here or somewhere like here, are we really listening? This is just one of many instances in which we listen with one purpose, for the sake of responding. We are formulating what we are saying before even processing the words coming out of the other person's mouth. We are anticipating the ways we either agree or disagree with what the other person is saying. We have maybe already decided that our words are more important than theirs, whether we mean to or not. Or even more so, we are assuming that we don't necessarily need or want to hear them. We may block them out by focusing on our response. And what happens on the other side? What happens when you are the person being responded to? Doesn't feel great, because we crave acknowledgement, to be heard and to be seen, especially in these charged or difficult conversations. We want our words and thoughts to be understood and acknowledged. And a rapid-fire response shows that the other person was busy preparing that response, not being present, not empathizing with our perspective, or with us as a human being. So knowing the weight of this concept of listening, what's the alternative? How can we work to shift our mindset from a place of not listening for the sake of responding and speaking ourselves, but listening for the sake of understanding, of internalizing, listening to act, listening to really hear what the other person is saying? The sense of listening to respond is not just in charged political discussions, as you may think, but actually happens more often than we realize. How often do we find ourselves in conversations with friends, listening to their stories and waiting for the opportunity to tell our own? Or find ourselves in meetings, waiting to share our own ideas or not fully attentive to the current conversation? It's found that more often than not, we as a society are not listening with the goal to understand one another. A Dutch theologian named Henry Nouwen, who wrote that listening is much more than allowing one another to talk while waiting for a chance to respond. The beauty of listening is that those who are listened to start feeling accepted, start taking their words more seriously and discovering their own true selves. Listening is a form of spiritual hospitality by which you invite strangers to become friends. And listening is central to our tradition. The watchword of our faith, the Shema, commands us, listen. It's a powerful call to attention and action. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory argued that it is one of the most important words in Judaism, and also one of the least understood. He says that the word Shema is fundamentally untranslatable into English because it means so many things. It means to hear, to listen, to pay attention, to understand, to internalize, to respond, to obey, just to name a few. So knowing the weight of this word, again, how do we transition away from a mindset of passive listening or listening to respond towards a mindset of Shema, of a listening that allows us to fully hear and understand one another? We can turn to our Torah text this week for an example of what it looks like to understand. Moses gets a visit from his father-in-law, Yitro. Yitro noticed all the work that Moses has put into leading the Israelites, and he particularly noticed that he did so alone. He approached Moses and said to him, "Moses, listen. You represent the people before God, and you teach them God's laws and God's teachings, God's ways. Instead, I want you to go and appoint judges. Delegate the work." He gave this fatherly suggestion. And I imagined that moment being a moment of this spiritual hospitality, eye to eye and ear to ear. Yitro listening to and internalizing Moses' leadership challenges, and Moses, in turn, soaking in the words of his father-in-law. As the text says, Moses did not just passively listen, but he heeded him. He listened to the words, considered them, responded by taking action to make a positive change. This emphasis on listening to understand is not to say that we should never respond. In fact, we should. Dialogue is probably one of the most productive ways to further our community to one of unity and civility. And we know it doesn't get much more Jewish than arguments. There's a text in the Talmud that speaks to a verse from Proverbs. Iron sharpens iron, so too does a man sharpen the countenance of his friend. It means that challenging and engaging in dialogue and argument with one another, as two scholars might do, sharpens us in the same way as iron. So knowing that these are both important aspects, how do we fuse together this idea then of listening to understand at the forefront and listening to respond second? Committing to this practice of active listening is hard work, but given our climate, making this commitment is more important than ever. There's an organization in our Jewish community called Resetting the Table, who I am so excited to share that we are in the process of beginning partnering with as a congregation. Resetting the Table brings together groups of people with opposing perspectives to speak across differences and engage in challenging conversation, with the emphasis on building the skills to listen for the sake of understanding. They focus on building relationships as the premise for how to begin these conversations. And if we go back to the Torah portion, we see that the reason Moses was willing to open up, willing to listen, willing to take Yitro's advice was because he trusted him. They go hand in hand. One leads to another. A relationship leads to listening. One of the core values that Resetting the Table teaches is machlochet l'shem shamayim, the concept of embracing sacred argument. And in this sacred argument is exactly the point where understanding and responding intersect. In a sacred argument, we listen with the intent to demonstrate understanding, waiting until we hit the bullseye with full clarity on what the other person has expressed, ensuring that they feel seen and heard exactly as they intended to. And only in that moment are we able to respond. By engaging in this intentional form of sacred argument and skill building of listening to understand, we can build the muscle of what it means to integrate this into our lives and all of our charged and passionate conversations. We build that sense of spiritual hospitality into our relationships, whether at the Thanksgiving table or in our places of work. We've started this program here at TBJ with a small pilot group, but we're excited to expand and reach to include as many of you as we possibly can. So I'll share here that if you too are interested in speaking across differences, learning the skills to engage in machlochet l'shem shamayim, a sacred argument, the fusion of listening to understand and thoughtful response on the issues most important to us today, please feel free to be in touch. Send me an email or give me a phone call, because we would love to have you there. So as we imagine Moses standing in front of Yitro, not with an immediate objection to changing his way of thinking, but soaking in the words, listening with intention and purpose, May we too work towards a world in which our homes and our workplaces and our table conversations are ones filled with the sense of listening to understand, conversations filled with open ears and open hearts. Shabbat Shalom. As we transition, we will also acknowledge that it is the first Shabbat of the month, so it's our tradition here to share a blessing for those who are celebrating birthdays and anniversaries in the month of February. Is there anyone here? Oh, amazing. So if that's you, I invite you to rise at home, here in the sanctuary. Yeah. So this Hebrew month of Adar comes a bit early this year and begins in the month of February. It begins on the 12th of February. And some of you may know that the saying goes, as Adar enters, joy increases. Misha nichnas Adar marvim b'simcha. And in my opinion, I think we can always use more joy in our lives at all moments of the year, not just on our birthdays and anniversaries. But this joy is not a regular joy. It's also described as a joy of transformation. The joy that comes along with changing and growing, of uncovering new layers within ourselves and within our relationships, urging us to explore and discover all that's possible in order to reach this sense of joy and happiness that goes hand in hand with the month of Adar. So as you begin this next trip around the sun, either another year in your life or a year in your relationships and your marriages, may it be a year of joy, a year of transformation, a year of richness, and above all, health and happiness for you and all of those that you love. So we'll say these words as we have said for generations, blessing special moments like these. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehachianu v'kiyamanu v'hikiyanu lazman hazeh. We praise you, Adonai, and thank you for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this day, this very special moment in each of your lives. And with that, we'll ask everybody else to rise as well as we begin to conclude our service with the words of Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגבר עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני המלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We now come to the words of Mourner's Kaddish, the words that honor the lives of those in our families and communities whom we have lost. As part of honoring their memories, when you hear the name of a loved one you may have lost, if you feel so inclined, we invite you to rise to honor their memory. This week we're in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning for William Nash, cousin of Amanda and Matthew Plotkin, for Ann Kornhauser, wife of the late Kenneth, mother of Evan and Lindsay and Craig and Amanda, grandmother of Molly and Kenny, daughter of Faye and the late Joseph Morris, and sister of Avi and the late Sue Kendi. Marcus Vogel, husband of Laura Vogel, father of Howie and Stephanie and Andrew, grandfather of Graham, Blake, and Kira. We're in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, for Shirley Abramson, Annette Feldman, Elizabeth Marie Frankel, Lois Goldberg, Ronald Juster, Stephen Margulies, Paul C. Rennert, and Vladimir Schneider. And it's the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Betty Altman, Carrie Altschieler, Avram Apter, Lawrence N. Barish, Ella Becker, Henrietta Wolf Bernard, Bertha Mayer Bierman, Harry Birnbaum, Margaret J. Bornstein, Philip Brous, Lena Fox Cohen, Julius H. Cohn, Robert Zenas Diamond, Rose Seidenman Diamond, Janet Dreschler, Ruth Dreyfus, Francis Weinberger Dyer, Herschel I. Eisenman, Benny Elsky, Jean Fain, Rose Pollock Feinberg, Mamie Feldman, Eleanor Froelich, Carol R. Furman, Harry Gluckman, Beatrice Wolf Glucksman, Marion Lesser Goldberg, David Goldsmith, Mervyn H. Goldsmith, Joseph H. Gorman, Jack Gerson Gould, Sarah N. Grayson, Jordan Scott Greenberg, Mo Greenberg, Harold M. Gupp, Pauline Bernheim Handler, Cantor Menfrek Hecht, Francis Heiss, Muriel Ebby Human, Jill Holtz, Saul Israel, Alice Simon Kahn, Dora Kaplan, Edward Kaplan, Gloria Kestenbaum, Lena J. Klein, Irving E. Kosky, Jean A. Kramer, Dr. Adrian Christeller, James J. Lazarus, Michael Levine, Lance Levine, Milton Lillian, Val Schiffman Loeb, Alma Squires Malkin, Ralph Manasseh, Constance W. Marcus, Franklin Marks, Kate Adler Mindus, Henry Muckle, Hannah P. Newhouse, Erwin Novi, Jenny Nuttleman, Clara S. Oberski, Samuel Paley, Sam Petros, Lynn Pazer, John J. Popper, Abram J. Precker, Frida Rebenfeld, Abraham Rickelson, Leon J. Rosenstruck, Florence Roskin, Clara E. Rothman, Henrietta Eckel Rubin, Eugene H. Sadler, Betty Schloss, Clara K. Schoenwalter, Edwin George Schoenwalter, Bernice Schwartz, Henrietta Metzger Schwartz, Fred Schwarzenstein, Paula Siegel, and Carolyn Claire Weiderman. We'll rise together as one sacred community as we recite the words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 20. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayed kol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudasha barichu. La'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated, and we have a few really exciting things coming up in the community. I just want to point your attention to your order of worship that you can find online. We have tomorrow Torah study 8:45, and then Sunday Rabbi Wertz's class, How Judaism and Spirituality Help Us Navigate Crisis. It's on Zoom at 9:45. I imagine it's going to be really wonderful, and I encourage everybody to attend. We also have our podcast. Don't forget, Cole Jeshurun. Go to wherever you find your podcasts, press subscribe. There's a really exciting one coming out this week, and lots more coming up that you can see in your order of worship and on our website. Very full calendar in the next few weeks. But before any of that, what we have is a really exciting event happening tomorrow, the bar mitzvah of Chase Plotkin. So I'm going to invite you up to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. And what you have there is a whole setup, and under that white cover on the tray, you have a Kiddush cup. It's underneath the white thing. Yeah. And that Kiddush cup is not just for you to use tonight, but it's yours to keep. It is a gift from our TBJ Brotherhood and Women's Association, and we hope you'll use it not just this weekend, but in many, many exciting and joyous moments in your future. So, if you're ready, I'll let you take it away.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu v'mitzotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava v'ratzon, hin lanu, zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tiyat mitzrayim, ki vanu varta votanu kidishta michol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshocha be'ahava v'ratzon, hinaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat.
Amen. Beautiful. You can take a sip. And then to take the cover off that challah, lead us in Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Beautiful. You can take that challah with you too. Yasher Koach. It's wonderful, and I know tomorrow is going to be wonderful as well. And Mazel Tov to all of you.
Shalom in song with our Shabbat Shalom Nigun.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.